right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Thank you very much, Ken. Welcome, everybody, to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Josh Taylor, in tonight for Rich Walsh. Quite a bit to get to today. We will start with the more obvious thing right now. If you're not watching right now, odds are you're probably happier for it. Pirates now trailing the Phillies 14-4. And I believe it's the top of the seventh inning. We haven't even got to the bottom end of that part yet. So this one's starting to get strung out a little bit long over at PNC Park. We could be in for a long night if this keeps up. Hard to find out where to start. You could start with the starting pitching when Trevor Williams can't get out of the third inning. You can start with the bullpen that comes in, and even when the team pulls within a run, the bullpen can't seem to keep this team within the game. You can talk about the offense that puts a man on third with one out after a triple by Corey Dickerson and can't drive him in. There's a lot of places you could start. We can talk about the defensive aspect of it. There was a play under review with Josh Bell with a throw to first with the bases loaded. That was first called out. The Phillies challenge. It's called safe. A lot of discussion on social media about where Josh Bell was placed on that throw, and did he actually play that perfectly? Turned a double play earlier in the game, and by the way the ball was thrown, it could have gone easily wrong quickly. So there's that whole thing. There's a lot of different things you can pick out with this game right now and why it is the way it is at the current moment. I'm going to keep this pretty simple. And I've been asked this question a lot. I was actually with a couple of friends on 4th of July, and one of my friends, his dad, asked me, what's the basic thing with this team? What's going to happen with this team? I said, well, the basic premise really is that the team is not good enough. It's really that simple for me. This is a team that's not good enough. They're not a bottom of the barrel team, and they're clearly not a playoff team. They are a team that's in the middle. And being a team in the middle is worse than being a team at the bottom. If you're a team at the bottom, you can at least strip down to the roots. You can at least hope for a high draft pick and try to build that way. Obviously, if you're a team near the top, you're competing, so there's not much to complain about. But if you're a team in the middle, you can't move up well enough to compete, and you're not low enough to get a high draft pick to try to build around prime talent. So you're pretty much stuck in the same cycle. And I think that's where this team is right now. Before the season, my official prediction was 77 wins for this team. That has not changed. I believe they won, 40? But it still hasn't changed. They're actually ahead of that pace going into the All-Star break. But I'm still there right now as far as being a 77-win team. This is a team that's in the middle. I said this going into the season. I wrote this for KDKA.com. This team's going to have moments where they actually do catch your attention and you say, wow, that was actually really cool. And then there's going to be moments where you have absolutely no idea what you're watching and they're going to frustrate you. And that's what we're seeing. This is one of those nights where they're going to frustrate you. And there are a lot of reasons why, as opposed to the standard 2 or 3, which is usually the case around this particular situation. But I will say this much. Going into this 11-game homestand, there has at least been the willingness to try to shut the door on what happened in L.A. Josh Harrison talked about it before the game. He said, look, it's one series. You won the 2 before that, and this one doesn't look as relevant. He goes, what happened in L.A. happened in L.A. It's a new series. We're back home. And that's all well and good. But here's the thing. If you want to leave L.A. in L.A., you can't leave the way you played in L.A. and expect to take – you can't leave what happened back in L.A. and bring the way you played back with you. That's not how it works. If you're going to leave what happened in L.A. there, you got to leave the way you played there too. And clearly they haven't. I guess that's the best way to sum that up. NHL free agency continuing to blossom as we get through the first week here of NHL free agency. Of course, the big discussion right now, what happens with Erik Karlsson. That's something that's still kind of floating out there. Have not received any recent developments with that yet, but that's something that's going on. So the balance of power in the East starting to settle a little bit. John Tavares goes to Toronto. That's a big one. And if Erik Karlsson goes to Tampa, which a lot of people have speculated could be possible, that could mean a lot as far as the Atlantic Division getting a little bit stronger in this Eastern Conference. But it is clear with what the Penguins are doing. They're shoring up their roster right now, and they're in a position where, unlike other teams, they don't have to do too much to shore up their roster. They're not having to worry about shelling out $77 million to a John Tavares. They don't have to worry about trying to work out a contract extension with an Erik Karlsson to try to pull a trade off. They're not in that position right now. They're in the position where most of their team that they need and most of what they're built upon is already there. And they're just trying to find the parts that fit in and maybe fill in those those secondary areas, which is a good position to be in. And it speaks to two things. One, it speaks to your development, and two, it speaks to your depth. And that's a good thing. And Jim Rutherford, if nothing else, has been able to build depth in his organization for the past 3 or 4 years, which is a really, really good thing. So looking at that, should, say, Eric Carlson be traded to a Tampa or elsewhere, for that matter? It does make you wonder just how strong the Eastern Conference around the Penguins. Next season, you're wondering, hey, who's going to be the best teams looking at each division? And, of course, you still look at Washington. They're still there. I mean, the defending Stanley Cup champions, you can't rule them out. It's still weird saying defending Stanley Cup champions with the Capitals. I'm going to have to get used to that. But there is that, too. So all of that stands out. And going into the rest of free agency, how things go around. Obviously, we have to wait and see what happens with Jamie Alexiak as he enters arbitration in the next couple of weeks. That's one of those things. But is there anything else that you think the Penguins should do? What's their next move, in your opinion? I know Jim Rutherford didn't rule out the trade market earlier in the week. That's still an option. But is there anything else you think the Penguins should do? 412-575-2600. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Pirates if you're up for it. We'll talk Steelers, too. Training camps in a couple of weeks. We'll do that all the same here on the Island Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Stick around.
The Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call is brought to you by Ireland Contracting, Pittsburgh's #1 home exterior expert in roofing, siding, windows, and gutters.